Ultima and Wizardry. I don't give a damn about Ultima, so I'll let Rue or someone else cover that one. But I can talk about Wizardry. Oh yes, I can talk about Wizardry.
Ultima. This, many people see as one of the most important role-playing games developed. It was actually an offshoot, or it's kind of a reimagining and expansion, what have you, of a Calibeth. Both were created by Richard Garriott, who was a young, promising hobbyist programmer at the time. And actually he developed a Calibeth in high school. He developed Ultima during his freshman year in college.
It was an overhead RPG, simple graphics.
It took a lot of the gameplay of a Calibeth and just kind of tweaked it, made it more. It added quests, it added an overworld with the tile set graphics, which were impressive, very impressive for the day.
And you try to get to space somehow. For some reason, you end up in a space shuttle. It's a wacky game.
There was some strange things though. It was kind of like, it ran the whole fantasy gamut. You know, from old Wizards and Warriors up into sci-fi. You could buy a spaceship, space shuttle specifically, I believe. And there was like space shooter aspects in this RPG.
Like Dungeons and Dragons wasn't bad enough, preventing countless of tens of thousands of teenage boys from getting laid. This crap was dropped in their laps.
Wizardry was made in 1981 by Andrew Greenberg and Robert Woodhead, published by Sirotek Games. And this is kind of the genesis of everything I love in RPGs. It's a first-person dungeon crawling game. And what was big about it for the time is that there's a lot of graphic in it. The maze is rendered very, very simply, but the enemies are rendered in color for the most part, as long as you're playing on an Apple II with a color monitor.
It was also the first PC role-playing game to use a true party-based system for your dungeon crawling experiences. So you would have not only one person to take care of, you had a whole group of people with different stats and abilities.
I think you could have up to 6 people in your party. You could choose their class, you could choose their alignment, you could choose, it was very much, both obviously were based off of D&D elements, but Wizardry was very much more of an almost straight D&D. You take the tabletop pen and paper and you put it in a computer program. This is what you get, Wizardry.
There's also a lot of puzzles in these games. Weird warp zones set up in the dungeons. Keep in mind, you don't have a map. You have to make your own map. Grab the graphing paper. You're not getting out of this unless you make your own map.
Back in my day, we didn't have manuals and maps.
So, you know, you hit a warp zone and you don't know where you are, and half the fun is figuring out how all these pieces, spinners, warp zones, etc., interact on a floor, sometimes between floors, to get you to your final goal.
And it really just jump-started the Japanese RPG market through Dragon Quest, later Final Fantasy, and of course, all the rest, all the tons and tons of Japanese RPGs that came out later. They all kind of draw their lineage to Ultima and Wizardry.